go.
Mixed martial arts. Mixed martial arts. Mixed martial arts. How do we like our martial arts? We like the boxing.
As you can hear, Casey is not here, so we did a little acapella for you, ladies and gentlemen. Shaheen with the lyrics. It was incredible. Welcome
like
to
our
the
martial arts. We like
look,
boxing.
Oh, so good. It was perfect. And this is a perfect intro for the type of event we're going to be talking about.
What this
here.
is?
Yes, for the type of event we're going to be talking about.
Together,
yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Together last second, kind of just coming together as it comes together. Yes, that was great.
Slapdash. It's the best.
Unbelievable. Yes, we are living in a world where tomorrow Tyson Fury is going to box Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia. And like every famous fighter from the past is apparently there. They're all there. Mike Tyson's there. Rampage Jackson's there. Chuck Liddell is there. Roy Jones Jr. is there. They're all there because this is going to be an absolute circus. And you know what? I'm kind of here for the spectacle, but we're here to talk about it right now. I am Mike Heck. We have Shaheen Al-Shatti, the wise wordsmith. We have the reigning, defending, Cannonball BTL champion Jed Meshew with us as well. Gentlemen, it's good to have you here. Shaheen, let's start with you. We are
Cannonball Meshew moving forward.
Cannonball Meshew. Sounds like a plan. Shaheen, we will begin with you. We are 24 hours away from this event happening. It's kind of just sneaking up on us with the craziness of the Prime card, UFC 294, the shakeups to UFC 295, and then now we're 24 hours away from Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou actually happening in Saudi Arabia. Temperature gauge, Shaheen, where are we at here? How excited are you for this? Are you excited for it? How would you describe the feeling 24 hours from this fight?
Temperature gauge. How excited would I be? I would say I'm like a good solid 7. You know, I could get to like a 7.5. I'm interested in this. I'm interested in this purely because of the spectacle. I love circus fights. I've never shied away from that. Like, this is in my wheelhouse. I maybe could be at like an 8.5, but it does feel like it's just, you said snuck up. It does feel like it's just kind of sneaking up on us, right? I don't know what this is, if this is a symptom of just throwing events in Saudi Arabia, because I feel like the same sort of thing happened when the Jake Paul Tommy Fury fight happened, where like it just kind of all of a sudden was happening and nobody really was paying attention to it. I wonder if the whole Saudi Arabia aspect, it's hard to get people to tune in, pay attention with the time change. It's just everything that entails of doing a fight in Saudi Arabia. It feels like this week hasn't been as bombastic, hasn't been as big and explosive as maybe I expected it to be. But that being said, I mean, these are two very gigantic men who throw very hard punches, and I'm very happy for Francis to get this bag. And frankly, like, this is a little different than Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor in a lot of ways, right? There are a lot of different factors that are different to it. The one factor that makes me more interested in this than I would have been in that, which is just the heavyweight factor, right? Like, heavyweight boxing, heavyweight MMA, whatever you want to throw out. Anytime there's heavyweights involved, just big, giant, strong men who look good, get off the bus, throw punches, like, that's inherently more interesting and more volatile to me than, oh, like, boxer Conor's just going to go get worked by Floyd Mayweather for 8 rounds and make a lot of money. So I don't know. I'm in on this.
Jay, we talked about this a little bit on BTL, but where are we at now? It's been another day. You had a good night's sleep since then. Where are we at now? Where's your temperature gauge at the moment?
I'm going to give this 1 Michelin star, which, shout out to the city of Atlanta, which, as you can see, I am not in. Michelin guy just came to Atlanta, handed out some stars. That's fun. Big time. This gets 1 Michelin star. If I was in Saudi Arabia, I'm going to this. Like, the spectacle, the event, the grandeur, all of that. I think that is enough to, if I'm already there, to make an appearance and kind of see what's what about it. I'm going to be a little more tempered than Shaheen. Let's say I think Shaheen went 7, maybe an 8. I'll go like 6, maybe a 7, just a little bit down, because ultimately this is a 1-fight card. I largely don't have much interest in the rest of the things going on. I'm not sure we'll even talk about the rest of the fights on this card, frankly. And the main event has an extreme likelihood of being what we all believe it probably will be, except for me because I'm going with my boy Fran, big Fran. But again, this event is less about the fight and more about everything else that comes with it. I will say that this week has probably made me a little less enthusiastic about it than I could have probably talked myself into it. There's just John Fury is doing his best to hype things up, but he's not getting a lot of counterplay, and this just isn't. This doesn't have any sort of the same feel that Connor versus Floyd had, even though that one was similarly a foregone conclusion, right? So I still have some interest just to see it happen with my own eyes. And certainly, if Francis does pull the thing off, this will be incredible. But if things go poorly in the main event, like I believe a vast majority of people expect, I'm not sure that people will get their bang for their buck in this one.
Yes, $80. This is the same cost
It's
as
a
a
lot of
UFC
bucks,
pay-per-view.
yeah.
Same
It's a
cost as a
lot.
UFC pay-per-view to watch this.
Hey man,
Shaheen, Jed make
if you're gonna
Go
pay
ahead.
money for Amanda Nunes versus Irene Aldana, you should pay money
You
for
should
this.
not. Don't pay money for Manus for Serena Aldana. That's
You
what
at
I
least
would
had
have
the
told
watch
you.
party for that. You at least had the watch party for that card. Shaheen, Jed
At
makes a
least
really
this,
interesting point.
sorry,
Go
at least
ahead.
with this one, the money's going to Francis, right? Like he's getting the majority of the pay per
It's
view
true.
money. So like, give Francis the money. He earned it.
Okay, that you make a very good point there.
Support
But Jed brought up
fighters.
something. Yes, Jed brought something very interesting up, Shaheen. The build to this fight, especially during fight week. This is the time where if you're not really into it, the fight week hype kind of will try to get you off the fence a little bit, or at least get you a little bit more intrigued. I feel like the timing of this fight kind of sucks in that aspect because we just had it with the prime card, and you can't get any more chaotic than that. If you could get people on board to watch Dylan Dennis box Logan Paul, and boy, did they do it. They got people pretty excited for that and at least intrigued in some way. And John Fury was involved in that buildup with KSI and Tommy Fury as well. I feel like any of that aspect is kind of gone because they killed it. It just wiped it clean. And this week, John Fury's trying, but it's like we just saw this 2 weeks ago, and John Fury's trying to headbutt a glass compartment where two guys are going in there. Like John can't get any crazier, and Mike Tyson's not going to box John Fury. So try as he may, I don't think the shtick is really working here like it did 2 weeks ago. How would you grade the build to this week? Because I just feel like the timing 2 weeks after the prime card it's just tough. It's just really tough.
That is a great point that I actually hadn't considered. The fact that we just dealt with the circus of all circuses, and now we're sort of like trying to run back another circus in a different way that it maybe feels like the steam has been taken off of it. I hadn't actually considered that all week, Mike, but I think that maybe is part of why this feels like it's falling flat in a way, because there are some of the same characters. Like you said, John Fury is trying to do his thing, things like that. And also just the way that last one left us, the taste it left on our mouths after the last two fight. Not great. Let me answer your question with the question though. Jed, I need to bring you in here.
I'm in. Let's go.
All right. I was waiting for a split screen. There we go. If John Fury versus Mike Tyson was the co-main event on this card, would it bump up to 2 Michelin stars?
It might. And that's the thing. Like you, Shaheen, I did not sort of think about the fact that we just did this and that playing a role. But I did come into this like kind of wanting to talk about, make a point. Where is the help? Where is the co-main event? Where is the chief support or whatever? There ain't nobody supporting this shit. Like it's just because to my understanding and my belief, like true boxing heads don't care about this because why would they?
No,
They are
it's an MMA event. This is an MMA
Yeah.
event. This is 100%
Exactly.
an
And that's
MMA
the thing
event.
is like the true boxing heads are probably under the correct assumption that this is a waste of Tyson Fury. And so then why is the co-main event for the British heavyweight title? Like, why is Anderson Silva not boxing Roy Jones Jr. on this card? Like, if you put Andy and Roy Jones on this card, but like we're golden. This is 3 stars. This is fireworks on the 4th. This is magic. And instead it's here's this fight that one section of the population doesn't care about. And here are these 6 other fights that the other section that is ostensibly the people we're appealing to don't care about. So I'm just not sure this was constructed well. John Fury and Mike Tyson would have been some extra juice to make something come alive here in a more tangible way. And instead, it has fallen flat this week for me. I can't speak for y'all, but I have felt kind of cringy every time I have watched them get together and interact, because Francis has never been this guy to kind of play the dozens like that. And Tyson is sort of trying to get him going, and Francis is just kind of like, no, whatever. It's it just hadn't hit in the same way that you would want it to hit to really make this feel like a spectacle.
Well, I think there's an inherent problem with a lot of these type of fights, right? The crossover fights where an MMA guy is coming over in boxing. There's an inherent element of that always just feels like teamwork, right? Like these guys are working in concert to make a lot of money. Nobody's really under any illusions about what's actually going on, about what's actually at stake. Jake Paul, Nate Diaz, like they know what they're doing, and we can see that they know what they're doing. And ultimately, like, hey, sure, maybe you snipe at somebody there, you say a mean comment there, but like we kind of understand, like, hey, you're working together to sort of manufacture this into as big of a thing as you can, so you could just make a ton of money. I think that's one thing that, like, McGregor Mayweather, there was an element of animus there that developed over the course of the road tour, right? Over the many stops, over the just world tour, the grand nature of it. It did feel like by the time we got there, like, sure, they were in concert working together, but also they kind of didn't like each other. And there was like, like there's something there to grab onto if you were just the casual watching of like, oh, those two guys don't like each other, which we always talk about. That's the only way the UFC knows how to market, right? Those two guys hate each other. That's just so non-existent here, because it's so obvious that Francis is grateful for the opportunity. And it's so obvious that Tyson immensely respects Francis' abilities outside of boxing, right? Like just his life story, the way he's worked to get here, and also what he accomplished in the UFC, and also just making the stand against the UFC that he did to really go out on a limb and try to earn this fight. Like both these guys have immense respect for each other, and they can't really be in a setting together, whether it's the press conference or the face-to-face, without almost coming off like too overly respectful, even if they're trying to do, like, even if Tyson's trying to call Francis a fat sausage, which is just like objectively funny to me. Like no one in
You're
this
all
man's
big fat sausages.
no one in this man's entire life has ever called him a fat sausage, and seeing Francis' reaction to that is just, it was quite delightful. But like, it's just not there, right? Like there's no element of animus at all to this. And I think that is maybe a missing piece of this, where you can sell that to a casual. Because obviously the poster will sell itself, right? Francis looks incredible. Tyson, people know who Tyson is. That is inherently interesting to some degree. But if you can't get that little extra layer, it just feels like it's a lot of people watching because we're happy for Francis to be able to get that bag. And also, by the way, trademarking, drop the bag
Gimmick by
is
promotion,
is
or
just
fumble the bag, yeah.
fumbled the bag. Yeah, trademarking fumbled the bag. Like that's so
Gimmick
that's
promotions.
tremendous.
Francis
It's just tremendous.
Francis has done a lot of good. Like he's done a lot of good, but he's not doing a ton of promoting this week, which is, you know, feels like that maybe would help this event along, particularly in the absence of a strong support. Like I think this card needs something to push it to really make this like a cultural event, because Mike, we always talk about it. I mean, it's only Friday, but I have had no mom tests here. I am not getting texts from friends being like, "Hey, this is going on." Nobody outside of the MMA bubble that I interact with has approached me about this. So I don't know if that's the same for y'all or not, but feels like we needed something more to elevate this a little bit.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Let me tell you something else that kind of hurt this, in my opinion, and I'll keep you guys here. Tyson Fury is on the MMA Hour, and I enjoyed the interview. I enjoyed a lot of what he had to say. I enjoyed everything he had to say about the Alexander Usyk announcement and everything that entailed, and everything, him hating that as well. Here's one thing I didn't think helped sell this fight at all. Tyson Fury coming out saying that I am treating this like any other fight. I have put in 12 hard weeks. When one of the big narratives surrounding this that actually got people somewhat intrigued is that Tyson ain't taking this seriously. He's getting ready to box Usyk. He's just going to kind of roll in off the couch and beat this dude. I kind of wish Tyson played that a little bit more. I think that makes things a little more interesting. Absolutely. But instead he's like, nah, I treated Francis Ngannou like everybody else. And while kudos to respecting your opponent at all, I think it adds a little layers of Tyson doesn't say that and says other things like, nah, I'm going to kill this guy. I didn't even really need to train for that. At least give us questions. And even if you're playing possum and you show up and just run this guy out of the building, at least you got people somewhat interested in it. But now you have Tyson Fury. He's actually, he's never great looking off the bus, but he looked in pretty damn good shape here. The dude is ready to fight. I kind of was hoping he wasn't this ready to fight in a weird way. You know what I mean?
This is one of like the rare times, and I wish Casey was here. Obviously, he's not, because Casey always is like, this is a huge pet peeve of his, of fighters running down their opposition, like, that guy's a bum and I'm gonna kill him. Well, you actually want to build them up so it's more impressive when you beat him. This is one of the very rare times in combat sports when it is, you should be running him down, where no one is going to give Francis Ngannou credit. Like, right, like if Fury beats him like he is expected to, no one is going to come out of that being like, well, look at Tyson Fury beating Francis Ngannou. What a killer. What a monster. We all know the joke at play here. You've got to depress his value because you are probably going to win. And then it does sell that. Like, I could talk myself into the idea that Francis has a puncher's chance if Fury was like, I didn't even train. Like, what do I need to train for? He's never boxed in his life. He hits as hard as a car. Sure. So did Deontay Wilder work. How'd that work for him? He can't do shit to me, the big fat sausage. It would be much, much better in that regard. I think you're absolutely right, Mike.
What do you think about that, Shaheen?
I could see it. I could see where you're coming from. I think it's easy for us to sit here on the sidelines and tell Tyson Fury to be completely dismissive of this Adonis that's standing in front of him, right? Like, I don't know. He feels like someone who's pretty intrinsically like aware of the blood gods, the MMA gods, the boxing gods, and how they treat that sort of behavior. I mean, he seemed, even like you said about the Usyk fight, about the announcement of it, he's been downplaying that this entire week, even at the final face-off. Like, he's just straight up not wanting to talk about that. So it feels like he's just on some level just being a human being and like, hey man, I'm not trying to count my chickens before, put this publicly before something happens. So I could, it's hard for me to fault him for that, because he is objectively for taking probably the right approach for his own career. Cause this is almost just like a warm-up fight for him. Like that's the element that's also weird about this for the boxing side. If you're a boxing fan, like your whole, you don't care about this fight. You care that Tyson Fury makes it out of this fight okay enough to fight the actual fight you want to see in a couple months. And so that is just like, there's a lot of dynamics to this that are weird in that respect.
It is very weird. So let's just play the game here, because this is an MMA fight. And Jed Meshew is picking Francis Ngannou, but he's also said publicly on multiple programs that it's a gimmick and he wants this to live on forever. And one of his greatest regrets is not backing Sean Strickland. So he's just going to play the game and try to course correct. Shaheen, let's play the game here. And we're going to ask both sides of this coin.
One second. I have some real problems with this. It's one thing if you want to do the gimmick, and I respect the gimmick. I don't know that the gimmick counts when you call it a gimmick in real time. If you're making this pick and then you're being like, I don't actually believe in this pick, I don't think you get credit for it if the insane thing happens.
I believe in this pick because, like you said, Tyson Fury has spit in the face of the blood gods. You've read my prediction coming on this fight, Sheen. You can't do it. Like, you could say he doesn't want to spit. Nobody forced him to sign that contract. That was a choice. He made that choice to sign the Usyk contract. You can't be making these plans. The best laid plans of mice and men get hit like a Ford Escort going at 40 miles an hour, or whatever the hell the odd metric for Francis's punches are. Nope, picking him, sticking by it, believe it the whole way.
There you go.
Shaheen, man couldn't find intro music, but he could get the drum bit.
Just nailed it.
I can find sound effects for bad takes.
Well said. Well played. Shaheen, what if Francis Ngannou actually does this? Like, what if he lands the big shot? Like, I think the big comparison, and this is the one everyone seems to go back to, is this might be bigger than Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson, because from a betting perspective,
it might be. Yes.
Yeah. From a betting perspective, the Douglas win is actually a bigger upset from a betting perspective than this is, by a lot, which is kind of surprising. But
2,000 or something dumb.
Yeah, it was up to like 37-1, an underdog for Buster Douglas heading into that fight. But what if Francis Ngannou actually does this, Shaheen Al-Shatti? The boxing world will lose their friggin' minds, and it would kind of be hilarious, if we're being honest, in that aspect. as like team MMA, but still it'd be catastrophic as a actual fight fan that we're not going to see Fury Usyk. We're just going to get this fight again. But for Francis, if he goes out there and knocks out Tyson Fury tomorrow, like, what does this mean? What happens? How would you react to that? If you actually have you even thought about that? Have you even pretended to put yourself into that universe?
You said it would kind of be hilarious. I submit that it would be the most hilarious thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. Are you kidding me? That would be objectively like the weirdest, funniest thing that's ever happened in combat sports. Like I get the Buster Douglas thing because like obviously that's sort of the benchmark for these type of upsets in boxing. But like Buster Douglas was a boxer who had like boxing wins and boxing experience before that fight. The odds in that also like you have to, it's a reflection of the time, right? Because if that fight happened today, the odds are not going to be that astronomical. That was the time where betting was sort of this weird niche, and like there wasn't like as much knowledge about it as there is now. Like it's not as pervasive in the culture as it is now. So it was more kind of.
There's no DraftKings.com where you can get all your betting needs taken care of.
Yeah, and there's no bets. There's no bets bar. Just breaking down the best every week, like that was a very different time and place. If that fight happens now, you're not getting those kind of odds on Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas in Japan. But if we wake up on Monday and Francis Ngannou is the number one boxer in all heavyweight, like in the world, I mean, we're just living in a simulation, right? Like we already have so many weird results. This is the year of weird results. This is the year, as Jed put it, of vibes, of vibe picks just kind of working out. And this would be the ultimate result of it to me. This would be, I hesitate to call it the biggest upset in sports history. It's certainly top 5, I would think, right? Like I'm sure there are quite a few upsets that I'm just not aware of different sports and things like that. But like this is right up there with Miracle on Ice. This is up there with Leicester City. Like this is just like whatever you want to throw up there. This feels like it would be up there, man. Francis Ngannou coming in and just beating the number one heavyweight in the world and basically stealing all of this and ruining the Usyk fight that everyone's been demanding for so long, and it finally seems on the precipice of happening. It would be incredible. But also, here's the thing, Mike Heck. Here's the thing. And here's why that little sliver exists. Because we over on MMA, we're very versed in the MMA gods. We fear them appropriately. We understand them. And they are the bane of our existence. They're a scourge. They chase us in the night. We have learned not to mess with them, not to F with them, not to tempt them. Boxing guys don't know about the MMA gods. The MMA gods are involved in this fight. They are one half of this fight. If you are doing anything by doing this Usyk thing, you are tempting the MMA gods to do what they do best. And Sean Strickland could tell you about that, man. Like they are, there's some weird stuff that happens when you tempt fate in this way. And I'm just throwing it out there. That is now part of this equation.
Jed, what is this world? Paint us a word picture. Your prediction reigns true. Francis Ngannou lands the Thunder's Ford Escort-esque right hand, and Fury falls to the mat. You do your victory lap. But then you have to wake up the next morning living in this world.
I'll never stop victory lapping.
What is this? What is this post-victory lap or still on victory lap world look like post Ngannou knocking out Tyson Fury?
I don't think it's a stretch to say that it could probably change the world, right? Like, think about this. If this happens, then everything is possible. By knocking out Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou will also knock out our perceptions of what has to be and how power dynamics and structures work. We'll have peace across the land, cats and dogs living together. Harmony will come to all of us. The only people who will be sad will be the many people who had Tyson Fury bets down, and that will be funny to watch them be sad about that. It will be very, very funny to watch the PFL realize in real time, oh, that dude's just never fighting for us, is he? Dang. It will be incredible to see Tyson Fury get up and be like, the big fat sausage got me. Like, he does hit real hard. Let's run it back. And then this world, the sweetest thing in the whole world will happen, Mike. Just the better than the cries of newborns or than like the big wide eyes of a happy puppy. We will get to watch the odorous shit heels that punked Francis for fumbling the bag just have to eat the biggest pie of crow that has ever existed. If this it'll be just a majestic, really. It'll be the best thing that's ever happened, and that's the world I choose to live in. A world where all of those wonderful things occur. It'll be great.
Dana White's reaction to this would be just one of the greatest things ever when he's asked about that at a post-fight press conference. But we have to live in reality, Shaheen.
I guarantee you, if and when this happens, Dana White comes out on Sunday and Conor and Michael Chandler is booked. Like that is booked by like noon on Sunday.
If I'm Dana, I'm booking that fight at like 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, and right before they're about to make the walk.
I will say, I think if we ever want Ngannou Jones to happen, I think you almost kind of have to hope for Francis to win, because that is the only thing that would force the UFC to essentially bring him back into the fold in some respect, is him just becoming so overwhelmingly large that they can't ignore him. And also, I think that's the type of thing.
Come back though.
No, because that's the type of thing, like they're good with spite, and John very much, I think at that point, he's looking for challenges, right? Him stealing the shine off of the number one heavyweight in boxing right after some momentous thing like this feels like something right up John's alley of how he's trying to manufacture this sort of end of his career run.
Why would Francis come back? He'll just fight Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua and make the pay-per-view money and all. Like, he'll just box. He'll be the number one boxer in the world. Why would he ever fight John Jones in MMA again?
We still got
money talks, man. Money talks.
But Shaheen,
I think this knockout punch can literally change the world. I don't think it's going to change the amount of money Dana White is willing to part with to bring him back into the fold.
That's true, Shaheen. But we also have to, like, that is a great world to live in. Like, what a world it would be if we wake up Sunday morning and it's not a dream. Francis Ngannou knocked out Tyson Fury, but we have to kind of be prepared for the world that we expect to live in. That Tyson Fury wins, Francis Ngannou makes a big bag of money, and we're happy for Francis. But the boxing community and the MMA community, they're two very different places. And while the MMA community, seemingly as a whole, not everybody, are happy for Francis Ngannou here, if Francis just comes out and just gets run over tomorrow by Tyson Fury, I think most of us, like the three of us, would be like, hey, get the bag, dude. Great college try. You called for this fight. You willed this into existence. And you made the damn thing happen, and you left the UFC to do it. How will the community react if Tyson Fury just annihilates Francis Ngannou tomorrow? What do you think the narrative surrounding Francis as he gets ready to go back to the PFL? How do you think the MMA community will view his stock as a fighter if he just gets clobbered tomorrow?
I think nothing changes, right? Like, he's supposed to lose. He's supposed to get badly outclassed. He's not a boxer. He's not the number 2 heavyweight in boxing. He's not the number 1 heavyweight in boxing. If he goes out there and just loses badly to the best in the world in a different sport, I don't know. That is what it is, right? Like, that's just what we're expecting to see. And frankly, he's going to get that bump of anything better than that, right? Any performance better than absolutely awful, getting blown out, I think people will be impressed by it. If Francis lands one good punch in there, I think people will be impressed by it, and you'll see that gif quite a bit. If Francis wins a round, I think that's a win for him, right? Like, this is exactly what it is. We know what it is. We saw it with Maymack. He's going to lose. He's going to probably lose bad, and he's going to be really rich. And then the next, 6 months of photos we're going to see from him is him with Lamborghinis and expensive watches and just all sorts of things like that. And, that's just the game. That's what we know. Like, this is very apparent on its face what it is. And I don't think his stock takes a hit at all. He's still the best heavyweight in MMA.
Jed, same question for you, because last week we were talking about Islam Makhachev fighting Alexander Volkanovski. And we were under the impression it's going to take something extra special here for Makhachev to get the praise and get the credit. And it's kind of the same with Francis heading into this fight, but almost like the complete opposite, where we're just expecting Francis to go in and lose and all of that. And it's a win-win either way, because he's going to get the bag and he's supposed to lose this fight. Is there any way that his stock can take a hit tomorrow?
No, I think the people who want to hate him are going to hate him. If he loses, and there's nothing you can really do to change that. I think everybody else is largely going to be like what Shaheen said. And hey, okay, well, we knew what this would happen. There might be some more grumbling about how big a waste this was, and even some, I wish we could stop having these things happen, but we'll all move on pretty quickly. And the upside is if he wins, obviously, a ton of upside there. We already talked about literally changing the world, peace in the Middle East, dogs and cats. But if he just can compete or at least look like he sort of belongs, the amount of lifting the MMA community was willing to do, calling Conor McGregor a great boxer because he had a modicum of success for the first round while Floyd was very clearly not doing anything. Like that went for miles. People like, look at Conor, one of the best boxers. Like, look at him go. He gave Floyd hell for 3 minutes. Like if he is even marginally competitive, can land some punches, can make this fight like look like at least a fight as opposed to an execution, I think he's going to gain a lot, certainly amongst the MMA community, and probably gain at least a little bit of respect with the boxers. And if you are one of those people who believes that Francis, one of the wrong people, so we're clear, one of the idiots who believe Francis is about to go lose, I think what you should be hoping for is that he loses competitively. And so then maybe Francis can get one more bag against Anthony Joshua or Andy Ruiz or another heavyweight who he can maybe manage to finagle into a position. If he goes and gets run over, all of that's totally out the window. If he can at least compete, I think he still has opportunities in boxing moving forward.
Well, I guess there's only one place to go here. Shaheen, according to our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, so you can get in on the action. Go to DraftKings or DraftKings Sportsbook. Use the code the MMA Hour. Get yourself a deal. Make this fight a little more intriguing. Tyson Fury minus 1,400 as the favorite. The comeback on Francis Ngannou plus 750. What's the pick? What's the method? The round? What you got?
Such an awful line.
It's still incredible to me that that's the line that we're dealing with.
Dude, that's the just don't bet on this fight line. Here's a massive favorite, and we're giving you like a quarter of the juice on the underdog. Please do not put money on this. Is what Vegas is asking.
That's 100% what that is. I don't know, Mike. Here, I'm gonna paint you a picture of how this is gonna play out, right? Because as much as funny as this would be if it actually happens, as wild and crazy and just world changing as Jed mentioned, as this would be if it happens, here's realistically what we're gonna see in the next 6 months. And I'm gonna steal this bit from our pal Steven Morocco, who wrote it incredibly eloquently in a predictions roundtable we have coming out. Francis Ngannou is going to go out there on Saturday in Saudi Arabia. He's going to lose, probably fairly quickly. He's going to get to maybe the 3rd, 4th round, 5th round. Tyson Fury's going to overwhelm him. He's never boxed in this capacity. He's never boxed in a high pressure environment. He's never done this many rounds, and he's jumping right into a 10-rounder with the best heavyweight in the world. He's just going to get overwhelmed. It's not going to be a flash knockout. It's not going to be just some brutal knockout. It's just going to be an overwhelming TKO sort of finish. We're all going to shake hands. Everyone's going to hug. He's going to fly back home to Las Vegas. He's going to have a big, massive check with more zeros on it than he's ever seen in his entire life. He's going to take that check to his local bank. He's going to slide it under the teller to the teller. She's going to look at him like, oh, wow, okay. And then he's going to take all that money. He's going to buy some investment properties. He's going to maybe invest some stuff into Cameroon. His people at Extreme Couture, his teammates, are going to be very happy for him. They're going to give him a hero's welcome. He's going to just live on some investment properties and various investments that he will make in maybe small businesses, things like this. And then he's going to get back to work, and he's going to go back to the PFL, and he's going to fight in MMA for another very large payday and make someone else $2 million to fight him in the PFL sometime early next year. And all of this will be the biggest payday he ever gets. And it will be a life-changing sum for him. And he's going to probably do a lot of good with it in his native Cameroon. He's going to probably do a lot of business with it for himself and for his lineage and for the people who come after him, his kids and his kids' kids. And it's going to set up the whole Ngannou family. But ultimately, no one's going to really care about this result because it was a means to an end. That's what this will be.
Okay. Jed, how does Ngannou win? What round does he do it in? How paint the picture here? How does this happen?
Look, it's going to be a little bit later in the fight. And here's the thing. I think that Tyson Fury is probably taking this fight pretty seriously based on all the things he said and the fact that He did not come to weigh-ins looking like a big fat sausage, which he's much more capable of doing than Francis is, frankly. But I think pretty quickly in that fight, he's going to figure out timing, figure out range, feel really comfortable with his chances in there. And Francis, I suspect, will probably be very cautious to start. It'll be his first boxing match. He doesn't want to get caught in a big counter and kind of lose before the wheels get going. I think Tyson will start to the fight will be boring because Francis is being very conservative. Tyson just kind of picking him apart. As the fight goes on, Tyson Fury's a showman, guys. He loves to put on a show. John Fury's going to be yelling in the corner. He's probably going to have his shirt off. Man never has a shirt on. I respect it immensely about him. Tyson's going to be in there around round 4, maybe round 3, round 4. He's going to start dancing. He's going to start shimmying. He's going to start trying to put on a show with the antics, sticking his tongue out, trying to give the people their money's worth against this hulking behemoth who isn't doing a ton. And then right around 6, I'm going to say round 6, he's going to get caught napping. He's going to get a little too comfortable. Boom, big uppercut. I mean, like, we're talking the Alistair Overeem head to the moon uppercut. And that's just going to be all she wrote right there. One shot, done. Because Deontay Wilder, one of the hardest hitting human beings of all time, but does he hit with the power of a Ford Escort traveling at top speed? No, he's the hardest punching man of all time, and that uppercut could decapitate like a bull moose. I think Tyson Fury's big old head is probably also going to suffer the consequences. Round 6, after getting thoroughly outclassed for most of the fight, Ngannou pulls off the miracle upset. Shock and awe. No one understands anything. Everyone gets confused. John Fury, for the first time in his entire adult life, is silent. It will just be a miracle. And then after that, he's not going to take a check to the cashier because we live in 2023. We have direct deposit, Shaheen. No one's going into Wells Fargo and being like, please cash this $30 million check. Direct deposit. He might buy some Bitcoin. You know, it's the future. That's what the kids are telling me these days. And then he's just going to go home. He's going to call up the PFOs. He can call up Don Davis and be like, hey, man, about that February fight you were planning on, we're going to have to delay that because my phone is blowing up. Alexander Usyk, somehow he's now interested in fighting me. I'm the guy who dethroned Fury. He can't fight Fury. Fury's in concussion protocol for the next 2 months. You know what I'm saying? He's going to do that. And then he's going to go to Extreme Couture. And he's not, they're not going to throw him a party. He's going to throw them a party, Shaheen. He's going to buy Dewey Cooper and Eric Nixick jet skis. And then they can all go out on the water and have fun in this glorious world where somehow this man from Cameroon, who has suffered more tragedy and persevered through more hellish bullshit than any of us can ever contemplate, is not only the UFC heavyweight champion of the world, the lineal MMA heavyweight champion of the world, he is the lineal boxing heavyweight champion of the world, and the first dude of all time who can, like, no bullshit doubt about it, be like, I'm the baddest man on the planet. It's gonna fucking rule. Saddle up, boys. $80 is well worth being a part of history. And that's how you fucking promote.
I thought about it afterwards of like, yeah, no one actually takes checks to the bank anymore. But I did like the aesthetic of it, sliding the check under the
I will say that's actually maybe the one time I would do it, just so I could show somebody else a check for $10 million and be like,
right, like, yeah, that's a good experience.
It's a total flex move, but I might do it in that situation. Next time I get a paycheck from MMA fighting, I'll do it. Mini zeros,
I mean, there's nothing I could say that is going to come anywhere near the promo that Jed just
did a better job of selling that freaking card than they did.
You did better than John Fury has done. Tyson Fury 5th round TKO. Like Stevens layout of just, he's not going to get like obliterated. He's not going to get knocked down and knocked unconscious or anything like that. He's just going to get hit a lot down the stretch. He's going to get tired and Fury's going to light him up and he's going to be against the ropes. Maybe one knockdown down to a knee or something. And then Ngannou's going to get back up and then Fury's just going to keep pouring it on. And then it's going to be a mercy stoppage. That's probably what it is. And Ngannou's going to take that check to the bank. Yes. And get that look from the cashier and all of those things.
What can I, since both of you are on the wrong side of history here, Let's say that you're right and that somehow Tyson Fury wins this fight. What outside of the like generic MMA answer, he won by stepping in there and getting the check. What would be a moral victory for Francis Ngannou tomorrow?
Like I said, winning a couple rounds, landing one big punch, anything like that. I think if he can go into round 4 and have this be 2-1, 2-2 after round 4, maybe something like that's a moral victory. Even if Tyson's carrying him, because that was the thing with Conor, where like Floyd carried him for like some of those early rounds, and then people will always say like, "Oh, he took some rounds off Floyd. He took some rounds off Floyd. He's such a good boxer." Like that's just that lives, you know.
Yeah. At least the feeling of this one is I don't have to convince my friends not to bet thousands of dollars on Francis Ngannou here. Like the amount of people that I told were idiots for betting on Conor McGregor confidently.
You should
thousands and thousands of dollars. I was just like,
buddy, you don't need
not
to go.
Me.
You don't need to go to the sports book, man. I got you. Don't even call your bookie. I'll give you even odds right now. Let's go.
No, I'm just like, whatever you're thinking, stop thinking it. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. All right, dude, go ahead. Bet away. And then I would just stand there watching as Floyd starts tattooing Conor McGregor. Moral victory. I think if he makes it to round 6, if he makes it to round 6, that is a moral victory. Even if he gets, even if he doesn't win a round or doesn't land a big punch, if he makes it to round 6 with Tyson Fury, I think that's a moral victory.
If he makes it through all 10, regardless of whether it's a fun fight, like say Tyson Fury is treating this like a sparring session and not outwardly trying as hard as maybe you would think, even if he makes a decision, that is just like the biggest possible moral victory, right? Like at that point, he comes away almost the winner for just lasting.
Yeah, he wins. Like Fury's stock drops immensely if that happens. Immensely.
The other thing I'm thinking, if I'm Tyson Fury and I get hit by any like real punch, I think I'm selling it. Like I'm just selling it. Like add a little bit of drama to the thing. If you get hit by a real shot, just like take a knee and then just add a little bit of spice to this mix. I like get people going.
Do the Johnny Walker where if Ngannou hits you in the body, just pretend like it hurt and then just jump up and throw a right hand.
Yeah. I don't think he will do that, but man, that would be. Can you imagine how excited you'll be tomorrow if Francis lands a punch and Tyson Fury is like wobbled or whatever? It'd be electric. It'd be the most exciting moment in sports this year.
Yes. There you have it. We'll take a couple questions from the peeps here. There are other fights, but
Are there though?
Yeah, there are
fights
other fights.
Fights will take place.
All right. Since you're leading with that, we'll lead with this. I assume responding to Jed.
5 good heavyweight fights. You're talking nonsense. Okay.
Sure.
Look, enjoy them. I don't know. I got nothing.
Exactly. If you're enjoying this, that's great. I just did not know that people would spend $80 for 5 heavyweights. So, like, I'm a casual boxing fan, and I have heard of 2 people on this card that aren't in the main event. But I'm not trying to yuck your yum, man. If you enjoy it, that's great.
Yeah.
This one is because there's been a lot of questions surrounding the start time and walk time. So if any of you guys know, let the people know.
When I searched Ngannou versus Fury, the start time isn't even in the top 7 Google suggestions. People aren't trying to figure out how to watch this. Is the start time even announced?
So the main card starts at 11 o'clock my time Pacific, 2 o'clock Eastern.
Yep.
And so, just extrapolate from there. I would imagine main event walkouts, 2.5 hours, 3 hours after that?
So someone from ESPN said that as of right now, they're expecting around 6 p.m. Eastern for the walkouts.
That makes sense.
So, yeah. And that's like another good thing about this. Like, we're not waiting for Fury and Ngannou to make the walk at midnight Eastern time. They're going
this is daytime, baby. This is daytime.
I did not realize that until this week, and that's pretty dope. It's good. Always a benefit.
Also, I will say, from just an editorial side, the reason you're probably not seeing a lot of start time posts is a lot of times editors will put the start time post out tonight so that it hits peak. It's at the top of Google results when it hits peak search hours for people looking for this.
The more you know. the
Don't
more
tell
you
people
know.
how the cake is baked. Come on now.
Trade
It's not
secrets,
how
man.
you, we don't. They don't want to see how we make the big fat sausage. It's fine.
Alex
It's the
Williams said,
best.
"I
It's
don't
the
think
best insult in the world. I
I'm
love
so
that.
here for calling people sausages. It's just the
I'm
truth.
only here for calling people who are very clearly not sausages. If you call me a sausage, it's maybe
It's just
it's
kind of
hurtful, but
sad.
mostly it's just true. But like calling Francis Ngannou a big fat sausage is incredibly funny.
So like I can call you a fat. I shouldn't call you a fat sausage, but I could call Mike, who's this big
Well, you
Adonis,
can,
over
but
there,
it's just
a
not
big fat
funny
sausage
to call
because it's
me.
just not
Yeah,
true. Yeah.
exactly. It's not funny to call me one. It's hilarious to call Mike one.
I mean, look, genetics wise, I am kind of sausagey. I mean, it is what
Bursting
it is.
out of that shirt, Mike.
Excuse me, Mike.
I
I follow your Instagram. I see you doing the CrossFitting. Don't lie
That's
to me.
just
Don't
to
lie to the
live.
people.
That's just to live extra years. That's all. I don't think Ngannou punches any
I'm
harder
immortal,
than
so.
Chisora, much less Vladimir or Deontay. Yeah.
Which is very true.
Yep.
Could be.
I mean,
No, it
in
is.
in a boxing sense, it's absolutely true.
Yeah. I understand that that Francis is like in the Guinness Book of World Records and everything for the hardest punch ever. I don't think there's been a man alive that punches as hard as Deontay Wilder. And I think those 3 fights against Wilder have sucked a lot of life out of Tyson Fury, like physically. So a lot of people are using boxing math, like Deontay Wilder hits harder than Francis and this and that. You go all those rounds with Deontay Wilder, you're coming out like scarred at the end. So I'm very curious if those fights have caught up to Tyson Fury.
Francis,
I am not willing.
Francis,
I want to be real clear. I'm not willing to say that Francis like definitely hits harder than Deontay Wilder. I will just acknowledge Francis is like 60 pounds heavier than Deontay Wilder, and it would in no way shock me if he did punch harder than Deontay Wilder because that's how force works. Mass. It's a lot of mass. It's a lot of extra mass to be behind a punch.
I mean, it wouldn't actually surprise me if he does punch harder than Deontay Wilder, but it would surprise me if he punches harder than Deontay Wilder in a boxing glove.
Sure.
Because that is a different thing fundamentally, right? Like, if you're someone who has your whole adult life been punching hard in boxing gloves, you have a better sense of the nuances of what that entails than someone who's just kind of doing it for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Until Deontay Wilder is the same force as a fully equipped Ford Escort going at top speed, then I don't know. I've got math on my side, guys. I don't know about y'all.
Math and science.
Sports
Yes.
science and vibes.
Forrest Daniels, the panel has not talked about this, but what if Ngannou versus Fury goes to a draw? What does this mean for both fighters? I mean, this is pretty. This would actually be. This would be really funny.
Jed, what's the line on a draw? What's the line on a draw?
I'm
It's
gonna pull it up right now.
Mike, do you have it up? Because I don't. I can
Plus
pull it up.
2,500 for a draw. Plus 2,500.
Well, one, it would just be incredible. Oh my God, can you even imagine? I would assume that if the draw happens, we actually probably still get Usyk fight for Fury, and then Francis is just like Kate, like ringside for that one setting it up. It would just be incredible. I honestly don't know. My brain would explode.
I gotta say, I'm just seeing the comments. People deriding the boxing glove thing. I just said, "Oh, MMA fighters train in boxing gloves." Yeah, man, that's not the same as competing in boxing gloves in professional boxing competitions against professional boxers. That's not the same thing. What are we talking about? Yeah, I'm aware MMA fighters train in boxing gloves.
Sean, don't argue with the chat. Don't argue with the chat.
Those just drive me crazy. Let me
Do
ask you
whatever your
guys.
heart desires, Shaheen.
Let me ask you guys. What would be an objective, fairly funnier result between these two things? Split decision. Francis wins a split decision he shouldn't have, and it was a very clear wrong split decision. Or Tyson Fury wins a split decision that could have kind of gone either way, and it's just ridiculous that it was that close.
Francis winning the split, because Francis winning is funnier. It's just funnier, however you cut it.
Especially like an unjustified win.
Yeah, it would just be great.
You want to talk about the boxing media and the boxing world being set on fire? If Francis wins like a robbery decision, oh my God, will they lose their
The
minds?
amount of
So,
people who will turn
might be
on
the
Tyson
funniest-
Fury if he doesn't win this fight will be incredible. Even if it's a robbery, they will just the entire narrative will be like, what are you even doing losing robberies to this guy? Like this should have been a contest. What are we talking about?
Oh my God. That actually might be the funniest result of all. If Francis wins a splitty that he probably shouldn't have.
That might be my new hope for this.
Yeah. By the way, Francis.
So the actual funniest thing is if Tyson Fury guillotines Francis in the ring. That would just be the funniest thing in the world.
By the way,
no, I don't know. The other angle of that would be Tyson Fury doing like Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman 1 and actually paying for it. That would
also be that. Yeah. Okay, that's actually probably the funniest thing.
And if you're feeling that way, Francis Ngannou by any kind of decision, unanimous split or majority, all the same, lined at plus 10,000. Same with Francis number. Wins by DQ, plus 10,000.
100 to 1.
Oh, Tyson does the Dylan Dennis? That's what we're thinking?
Yeah, maybe. Imagine if Francis just like power bombs Tyson Fury in the middle of the fight. That actually might be something.
I mean,
wow.
That would just be impressive.
The world is our oyster. The world is our oyster right now. Anything can happen.
Isn't it funny though how like going into Nate Diaz and Dylan Dennis and like we all knew that shenanigans were coming. None of us are like, I think Francis is going to throw a low kick because like he's just an adult. We have an adult in room here. It's like, no, he's just going to box and maybe lose, but he's not going to like shoot a double leg in the middle of the ring for no reason. It's been that part of this build has been refreshing. There's been no talk of in a real fight, I'd kill you or whatever, which is great. More of that, please.
Yes.
Like boxing is.
Right, I'll take a couple more.
Out of here.
Sometimes a Ford Escort has a hard time starting, and it just kind of goes putt, putt, putt. As a man whose first car was a Ford Escort, I can concur with this statement by Joseph Dodd.
I mean, that's why you got to get yourself a Honda. Things just rely a Volvo, man.
Okay.
Oh, I love this question. I love this question so much. Why is the belt not on the line? Fury is sure he's going to win. Why don't we get any stakes? Is Fury versus Ngannou just an exhibition after a title fight? So this is I'm with BC on this 100%. BC talked about the one thing he truly hates about this fight. If you're going to call this a real fight, like if this is a professional fight that's going to go on the professional records, why aren't the titles on the line? Like, why is it? I don't get it. If we're going to go full on here, just go full on. Just go all in with this and just put the freaking titles on the line. We don't expect the result to be any different, but can you imagine like how different the photos would be when they're facing off and you have all the belts standing behind it? I just think it makes it so much more interesting with that aspect. Just go all in on the whole thing or just be an exhibition.
I mean,
just be one or the other.
So is part of this a WBC thing? Because I would imagine WBC has standards for who challenges for their titles.
Maybe.
I would assume that the WBC simply doesn't want to put their belt on the line for a guy who's never fought before, which I think is reasonable. Like, it would be cooler for this to be worth like a real belt or whatever. Like, I get the concept there, but I don't believe, per my understanding, that Tyson is the one who gets to decide when his belt is up for grabs.
Correct.
That's the great difference here of boxing commissions. How this works.
Yeah,
he can decide who he
just
fights.
Call it an exhibition, then. Just call it an exhibition.
No, I don't.
No,
I
because
disagree.
exhibitions don't have judges.
But also,
like,
I think the big point of this, because there is some level of stakes for Francis in that it was the same thing with Conor, like being able to put the 1 on a record that previously has an O on it. That's a hell of a feat. And this would feel much lamer to me if Francis didn't have the opportunity to put the 1 on the record.
Also, this may still be an exhibition. It has been repeatedly said that it is not, but like boots on the ground over there are reporting that they are still not really getting like clean answers on whether that's true. And if it's an exhibition, I think Brian did make a good point yesterday. Like, I doubt it would happen, but if this is an exhibition, then Tyson Fury can just quit and it won't be a loss. Like, he can just like take a knee or get DQ'd or whatever, and that would not affect him. I think this not being an exhibition is very important. It would be better if the belt was on the line. I just don't really care that much. If Francis wins, he's the lineal heavyweight champion. That's just how it goes, man.
What else we got?
If Francis wins, I do want to see if Ring Magazine like ranks him, because that would be wild.
That would be great.
Because they kind of have to.
You have to, yeah. You have
They
to
would.
acknowledge
They
the
definitely
result.
would.
Would they put him at 1? Like they kind
No.
of have to.
They'd
just
probably
be
put
nuts.
Usyk at 1, right? Usyk would be
Oh,
1.
actually, you're right. They would
Ring-
definitely bump. Actually, they may already have Usyk at 1.
Usyk, I believe, is number 1. The Ring Magazine is the ranking for boxing. Yeah. I disagree with some things, but their pound for pound list right now I think is spot on.
Yes, I'm pulled it up now. Their heavyweight is Usyk is number 1.
Yeah.
Fury's top contender. So I guess Francis would be the number 1 ranked contender.
Yeah.
He's so sick.
Wow. Oh my god.
Oh,
If we pivot to Francis versus Usyk, that'd be.
And it'll have to be a photo of Francis from this fight because there aren't any other photos of him like with boxing gloves on. This would be awesome.
Fury said there's no rematch clause. That is true. I actually liked the explanation for the whole that he hates rematch clauses because if it's already there, then you don't have to. Like people don't necessarily care about the first fight, but they would care more about the second fight. And I'm like, I kind of liked what he said. Like I kind of liked what he said there.
I get that in general. I think that the purpose of a rematch clause is not for building things. It's for him specifically that if he loses, he gets to fight again. He probably won't need that. I'm sure Francis would just fight him immediately because of all the monies.
Yeah.
But,
I think if Francis somehow does win, they'll do Fury Usyk for all the belts, and then Francis would probably fight the winner for all the belts.
It's so crazy to even have these conversations.
I think that will be the way. It's like when
except if Francis
I don't
wins, do you
know.
think
I
Fury can
disagree.
fight in December or January?
I understand. I agree. I understand. Like in like MMA and the UFC, like losing might throw stuff up. But if there is a mandatory and like you said, it's a WBC, WBO, like IBF call, they might just force that fight to happen, and it's out of the fighter's control. And then Francis might get the shot. It's literally out of the fighter's control at that point.
I disagree. I think that this will be an extraordinary circumstance similar to like the Conor Nate Diaz thing where like Conor was supposed to be fighting for the second title and then the Nate Diaz thing happened and like it changed the world and the way we think of everything in such a dramatic way that like there's no way to go back unless you do it again very quickly and get the result you kind of were hoping for.
Yeah.
If you're those promoters,
Well,
like Fury versus Usyk means so much less if Fury loses somehow to Francis.
No, I get it, and I agree with you. Everything you're saying, I'm just saying we might not have it. Like Buster Douglas never rematched Mike Tyson. It just never happened, and that should have happened. Like it just might. They might just force the Usyk fight to happen, and it won't make sense, but it might have to happen. I agree with what you're saying, though.
So funny though.
I'll tell you what
so
though,
funny.
the paycheck.
Francis just sitting ringside of Fury.
But like
the paycheck for this one will pale in comparison to the paycheck for the rematch.
Exactly.
That is what happens though.
Exactly.
God, that creates so many other questions too because of the
straight up.
PFL
If I'm
deal.
Tyson Fury and I lose to Francis Ngannou, I don't care what anyone's trying to make me do. I'll give up my belts.
Yeah,
Just run.
that's also something
That's what
that
I'm
could
saying.
happen.
Yeah.
That would be a more realistic outcome than Tyson Fury skipping over the Usyk fight and putting the belts on the line in the rematch. Him vacating the belts to rematch Ngannou is much more likely.
Because at that point, you're Connor after Nate.
Yeah,
you need to
100%.
get your status back. You
100%.
absolutely need to get it back.
But if the belts are,
plus-
if he keeps the belts, I think the WBC is going to force the Usyk fight.
Yeah. Plus, I mean,
Rematch.
as big a fight as Usyk Fury would be, if Francis wins, the rematch Francis Fury is going to be the biggest fight in boxing.
Yeah.
100%.
Rematch clause and rehydration clause.
God, it's going to be so great tomorrow, guys.
Yeah, that's true. We have any more questions? Or are we good?
No, I mean
I have
there's a few, but they're mostly like comments about upsets and stuff like this.
I can't believe you're not bringing up the Diamondbacks question.
That was how I was going to end it, Sean. We're talking boxing right now.
All right, I got one question for both of you guys. That's a great question too. Jed, if Francis wins, how will you top the Cannonball celebration?
That's a great question. I don't know. I was going to ask.
Ellie
I'm not
Flop?
actually
All right.
working tomorrow's
I
event.
have an idea. Can I submit my idea?
Okay. Submit
Yes.
your idea.
So right now, Jed, you have a day off tomorrow. You're not scheduled
I
to
do.
cover this event. I formally request that if Ngannou does win, I need you to sort of storm into the post show like you
I was
have a
about to
money in
ask the question if I could do
like
that.
like
I'll
you have
make-
a money in the bank briefcase, and I need you to just cash it in and just make an insane
I'll
entrance
make-
and do something.
I'll up that.
Deal.
Jed, if Francis wins, I'll get a Ford Escort tattooed on my body, and vice versa. If Tyson Fury wins, you get it.
No.
Come on, put your money where your mouth. Well, plus
Oh, that's
10,000, this and
tremendous.
that.
This
Plus
is
10,000,
zero
this and that.
tattoos. I'm
This
not
is
getting my
A+.
first tattoo to be
Nah,
a
dude.
Ford Escort.
Come on, Georgia boy, put your money where your mouth is.
Bro, you're in Florida. You're in Florida. This is the most
Dude.
Florida thing that you could do.
We can get a tattoo right now of a Ford Escort in Florida, and they'd be like, "Yeah, all right." You drive one? No, all right.
It's got to be the hat.
Hard
trick.
pass.
I need
Oh,
this now.
Pat.
This is the
Hard
move.
pass.
You heard it. You
However-
heard it. You heard it, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm-
Jed,
I'm a
Jed,
guy.
Jed, quote unquote, no gray areas. Meshew said hard pass.
Look, we can circle the wagons on that later. Shaheen, I do agree. The one stipulation is Georgia's playing Florida tomorrow, so I'm going to be quite inebriated for that post show, but I will be here.
Just
Frankly,
come on
that's
for a
the,
post-fight belly flop, and that's all we need.
frankly, that's the version of Jed Meshew I want to be hearing from at that moment in time.
I'll already have had several drinks, and then Francis will be winning, and I will just be gone.
It'll be just him laughing the whole time.
We should all be laughing if it happens. When it happens, it'll be the best.
The UFC 293 post show when Sean Strickland won the middleweight title was maybe my favorite post-fight show of all time. Because and Jed wasn't even inebriated. He was just we were just laughing.
As
We were just
all three of
laughing at
us-
I
everything.
can't believe it
It was-
happened.
That stupid show was all three of us just cackling for an hour at how stupid all
I
of
still
this
can't
is.
believe it happened. That was, and you know who did that? You know who authored that? Our boy Eric Nixick. 2 for
Yep.
2 this year, baby. He's about to. If this happens, can we just crown Eric Nixick the coach of forever and be done with it?
Yep.
Okay, good. Glad we're all on
Him
the
and
same
Dewey
page.
Cooper. Yeah, and Dewey
Yeah.
Cooper too.
Him and Dewey
Good
Cooper
Lord.
just co kings of coaching for the remainder of time.
Love it.
Last one,
Are the Diamondbacks getting a W tonight?
Let's go. Let's
maybe.
go.
Are they
Backs
playing
in
in?
6.
They're on the road, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
2-3-2
they're gonna win.
because they were the wild card.
They're gonna win.
Texas was a wild card too, right?
Yeah, but I think they had a better record anyway, so it
Has-
doesn't even matter.
Has Texas
I-
won a single game at home in the playoffs?
Didn't they sweep the first
I
few
think they-
series?
Yeah, they were really good in the
Must
early
have.
series. I just
The
have to
first
say,
series, not
the
the
first-
second series.
Well,
I just have to say because absolutely no one on earth cares outside of like 20,000
Yeah.
people in Arizona. Like this is a very niche thing for this Diamondbacks thing. This has been one of the most fun sporting experiences of my adulthood, is just like being able to jump on this because no one saw this coming. No one cared about this team for the last like 2.5 decades, or it's basically since like 2007 in this state. No one has cared about this team. They've been bad. They lost over 100 games 2 years ago. And for this to just happen suddenly out of nowhere and include a sweep of LA and then this crazy Phillies series where everybody was counting us out. Like this has been magical, man. I have been close to being reduced to tears a couple different times throughout this, and it's been so much fun. And I so badly want this to be 2001 all over again, where the whole world doesn't care about us and doesn't want us winning, but we kind of just spoil the party for everybody.
I think that the entire world wants the Diamondbacks to win right now.
Yeah.
I think everyone is
I
very
think they don't care. I think
No, they care. They like in the MLB circle because like I think Mike and I are much more like ingrained in that world. The Snake Boys have become America's team. Like it's become a thing because they probably would have won the World or made it to World Series like 2 years from now because they have an incredibly young core. They did what the Orioles and the Rays and the Astros did in the American League. No one could have predicted it would be this early. It's pretty unbelievable.
I'm rooting for the
rookies.
Diamondbacks explicitly because have you guys seen the like TikToks and videos of
No.
Phillies fans
Oh, yes.
afterwards? It's It's the funniest thing in the world.
No, I haven't. You got to
Well,
say me.
Phillies
They're
fans,
like leaving the stadium, and they're the
you know,
biggest people that ever
historically, fans from any sport in Philadelphia are just such great losers. You know, they just
Yeah.
really take it on the chin, and we'll get them next year. Our team is great, this and that, and they just keep it up. They're just great.
I hope
not
they
sore
never
losers.
play baseball again. Fucking joke. $700 million, and you go 0 for 12 in the series. Get out of here! It's the most incredible salt I've ever seen. It is warming the heart. It's the
Yes,
best.
I
It's
agree.
going to be exactly like the Francis haters tomorrow afternoon after Francis dethrones Tyson Fury. It's just unbelievable.
Just for 2 rookies in Game 7 to perform in the way they did, it's just
Get rid of the franchise.
Mike, you know a thing or two about rookie call-ups getting, just dominating the World Series. Ellsbury, Lester, Buchholz. Welcome to the club, Sean. It's a great time. We love to have you around.
I'm enjoying it. I'm really
Let's
enjoying
go
it.
D-backs. Do you call them D-backs?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah,
right behind me.
D-backs.
I mean, that's...
And if you tune
It's a
in for
great
games
name,
3
but
and
it's-
4, you can look for
it
José
sounds
Youngs
like
in the
something
stands.
Oh, you're in attendance.
I am literally a 7-minute walk from the stadium.
Well, that's just super convenient.
It is quite fun because then I can also have some adult sodas and not have to worry about getting home.
See, you were smart. You jumped on tickets before the series was
Oh
even
yeah.
done. I didn't do that. Now these tickets are like $500.
I'm
I'm debating.
I made the mistake when the Red Sox won in 2018. I was like, I'll see if they make it. And then when they played LA, tickets quadrupled in price. So a ticket to an LA World Series game was like $2,000 for upper deck. I blew it. Didn't make that mistake this year. Anyway,
I'll probably splurge and go to one.
join the club, bro.
It's a good choice, unless when you splurge for tickets, Lionel Messi decides he's not going to come to Atlanta, and that's pretty cool. I'm never going to get over that one.
Good choice,
make
Lionel
up
Messi.
All right, hit the music. Landscapers are here. We got through over an hour,
What timing?
and they didn't come.
Do we have music? Oh, there we go.
Yes,
I have this one.
A.K. Lee. Good Miss Fist article. That's the one.
Jazz.
Well, People's Pre-Fight Show tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. We will see you then. Enjoy
Get
your
that
Friday,
big fat
everybody. We'll
sausage on
see you
the
tomorrow.
Love y'all.